Welcome to The Fight with Teddy Atlas, presented by Dynamic Striking. I'm Ken Rideout, joined as always by the voice of combat sports, the legend Teddy Atlas. Teddy, how you doing?
Good, Ken. Hope everyone out there is well. Over the weekend, well, actually last week, this is a new week, this is Monday. Last week, I had to have a little procedure done. Had to go to NYU Hospital. They're very good up there. And just a little thing, I won't get into specifics, but the only reason I'm just telling a cute story about my grandkids, which I have a habit of doing, I'm sorry, bear with me, but I know there's grandparents out there that understand and actually are in tune with it and in line with it, enjoy it a little bit. So I had this little procedure done where they had to remove something from my chest. And so that's out of the way. That was good. And they told me when they did it, and you know, wives are more protective and more worried than husband. At least they usually are. And so she said, "Remember, you got to listen." And she's telling the doctor he don't listen. You know, he's not supposed to do nothing for 2 weeks. No picking up anything. You can't pick up more than a gallon of milk, which is absurd. And you know, I didn't even hear it. I'll be honest with you. I didn't even know. I could plead innocent because I didn't even hear it. Like, I'm not even lying to get out of it. I didn't even listen. So you can't pick anything up. You know, well, the grandkids are coming over. No, don't pick up the grandkids, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, I get home, and the kids are there waiting for me. The grandkids, for a couple of days, they come over with my daughter. So I had already promised them. They know when they see Papa, they're going out. We're going out. So let's go. And Elaine say, no, stay home, rest, relax. My daughter, same thing, rest, relax. I said, yeah, I am. I'm going to relax. I'm going out with the kids. So we get in a car, we go out. And we got everything. We got the zoo. We got the park. We got the Dave and Buster's with the video games center.
I'm going to send my kids to hang out with you for a little while.
Oh, anytime. They're welcome. You have a beautiful family. They're welcome anytime.
Thank you.
And then we get done with that. Then we go to the jumpy house where you jump around inside the house, all that stuff with the trampolines and all that. So you go to...
If you tell me you twisted your ankle in the jumpy house...
No, I'm watching. I'm not that crazy. I'm almost, Sam. So we do that, and then now it's time to go to the Sugar Shack, which, of course, you know, we're not supposed to, where they run wild and they fill up a plastic bag of candy. I might be the only person on the planet that took my grandkids and my son-in-law's nephews and nieces down the shore about a month ago, took them to a Sugar Shack candy place and let everyone buy the candy they wanted, and you know, they filled up in those bags, and it cost over $200. I don't know anybody that, like, even their father, Michael Fazio, was like, you spent $200 on crap, on like jelly, like on jelly spiders, on jelly worms. So we go into the Sugar Shack, they fill up the bags with whatever kind of stuff. I'm on a diet. I had one malted milk ball. I love it. Oh, it was good. I love it. So my granddaughter gave it to me, and not begrudgingly. Here, Papa, here's one for you. One. All right, thanks, honey. So we get through that. Now we finish the day off like a cherry on top of a sundae. We finish the day off by going into a big toy store in the mall. We go in the toy store, right? We're in the toy. Listen, Ken, this is just shows you the beauty of children, the heart of children, the perfectness of children, and the sincerity and truth of children. We're in the store, and he loves these Pokemon cards. So there's a big box of them, and it's up all the way up on top shelf. And he says, Papa, can I get that? I said, yeah, sure, no problem. I go and I forget. I just forget that I got this thing under my shirt, right? And I reach, and I never want to show, you never want to show distress, but
yeah.
it caught me by surprise, and I flinched, you know, because it did, you know, it hurt. So I go to get it, I flinch. what does he do? He grabs me. Are you okay, Papa? I said, yeah, buddy, I'm fine. Without missing a millisecond, after I said I was fine, he goes, use this arm, Papa, to get it.
That's kids.
How great is that? How pure is that, Sam? I go to get up, and he goes, you all right, Papa? I'm all right, buddy. Okay, we can't not fulfill the mission here, right? We have to get, okay, Papa, use this arm. Don't use that arm no more. Get it with this arm. So we get it, and just how sincere our children, how beautiful our children. And then, of course, I wanted to also ask you, I know you got a race coming up. First of all, before we get to your race real quick, I'm sure you're in shape. I'm sure you've been taking your AGs, and I'm sure you're ready for the race, mentally and physically, because the mental part is a big part of it. You know that. And how are your kids doing in football? Because I know that you got one monster who's like, I think he might be drafted in pretty soon. And my son could probably do some scouting reports on him to see where he's going to fit in the draft. But how are your kids doing in the football, and how are you doing with preparation for your race? I believe it's in Africa. And go ahead, tell me. I'd like to know.
Kids are doing good. They're both playing in their first year. My oldest son is on the middle school team. It's first year he's ever played tackle football. So, he's trying to get in the mix and getting on some special teams here and there. But, he's going through one of those tough periods where it's not fun not being good. And I said to him, very few people get to show up and just be good. And if you want to be a football player, you're going to have to work hard. So he's like learning some valuable lessons. And actually, same thing for Cameron. He's the youngest kid on the team and one of the smaller kids, but full of enthusiasm. And unfortunately, they keep sticking.
Let me say one thing. There's an old saying. I can always piggyback off any of this. That's why I do so-called motivational speaking. There's an old saying. You got to be in it to win it. You got to be in it to win it. So more important than being good is showing up.
That's it.
More important, and that's the lesson for everyone out there that are parents, that if you don't already say this to them. More important than being good, like Ken's talking about, show up. Because if you're not in it, you can't win it. So by showing up, by being brave enough, yeah. When you're not sure about stuff going on, to go out there and give it a try, give yourself a chance. Just to get in there, to give yourself a chance. By doing that, you got a chance to be good. But good don't come first. Showing up comes first. Go ahead, Ken. I had to jump on that.
Yeah, so Cameron is, he's full of enthusiasm and is very athletic. He's one of the smaller kids, and he's still like learning how to hit. And it's one of the hardest things I've ever had to do in my life. They play him exactly the minimum he's supposed to play, and they put him in every time at nose guard, thinking they're going to hide him there. I'm telling you, it's all I can do to control myself and not have to have a talk with anyone. But I said to him, buddy, do you want to keep doing it? It's so hard for me. But he loves it. And I'm like, you definitely want to keep playing. You know what he said to me? Dad, I don't think the coaches like me, and I don't care what they do. They can't make me quit.
That's beautiful.
And he literally thinks that the coach is trying to make him quit.
He might be a future All-American, who knows? But aside from that, they, by accident, begrudgingly maybe, or maybe just by not even understanding, but they are benefiting him. They are helping him grow in an area, in a capacity, to have a capacity that needs to be there to be successful in any endeavor in life, to be stronger, to be resilient, to be determined, to be committed, to be locked in, to never give it in to whatever's going on, to just fighting upstream when you have to fight upstream, when the current seems to be going against you. They are giving him the tools to build those traits. They are putting him in a place to get stronger in the most important areas in life to be successful.
Yep.
And remind them, say Uncle Teddy said that you are benefiting. You not only benefiting, you are really blossoming. You are growing every day. It doesn't matter how many tackles you make or don't make. It don't matter. You're getting better. And someday, all of that, what you're going through now, what you're developing now, will play for you. It will work for you in whatever place it's supposed to be, that your future is supposed to be. You will be prepared. You are benefiting. And tell him I said congratulations. Tell him I said I'm proud of him.
I will. And it's, I would never want him to quit, but it's so hard as a dad to watch him thinking he's going down there to maybe run the ball, catch one, throw a pass, and then to stick him at nose guard for the bare minimum plays he's supposed to be in per the league. And then I wouldn't want him to quit, but it's so hard to watch. I said, buddy, do you want to keep doing this? I know this is hard. And he literally was like, they can't make me quit. I'm going to keep showing up. He's like, I'm getting better at that. He said, I know I'm not good at tackling, but I'm trying, and I'm just going to keep getting better. Meanwhile, he's getting double teamed on every play on the offensive line. It's Teddy, it's the hardest thing since I've been a parent. It's the hardest thing I've had to do. He wants so badly to play football, and to watch them do this to him, it kills me. Like, I'm telling you, it's all I can do to control my anger with these guys, because I'm like, dude, it's 9 and 10-year-old kids on a in-house league playing against other teams.
Not everyone should be a coach, Ken. Not everyone can be, whatever it is that you take on as your vocation, temporary vocation, your hobby. Right. Not everyone is suited to be whatever that is. Not everyone's suited to be a coach. To really understand the things you're talking about. Not everyone is. Right. But listen, it is what a kid has to go through. It is what a kid has to go through to grow up and to get through that part in life and to gain whatever can be gained during that part in life. And it's what a parent has to go through, unfortunately, too. That's right.
You're right.
It really is. I mean, so how is Deion Sanders doing? Because I know you have a Deion Sanders in your family that makes all the tackles. He's a born athlete. He's also into the MMA and everything else. I gave him a couple boxing lessons. I thought he was coming over here for a week in the summer. He never. I was waiting for. I told Elaine, if a little short guy knocks on the door, let him in. But
they came home. They came home early because my oldest son got bit on the face by a dog. Almost bit his lip off, and they came home early because it was my brother-in-law's dog, and my wife was angry, and she took off and came home early. What kind of dog? Yeah, he's like a mutt. But bit him bit him like several stitches on his lip. He'll have a scar for life. It's it's a very sore subject. But that's who I'm talking about with the football. It's Cameron, who's been really good at everything, and now he's playing football, and he's not having a good experience, and he's but he won't quit. That's him.
That's Cameron. I thought you were talking about. Because Cameron is like the all-American athlete. He's like...
Yeah, he's a really good athlete. And, as a dad, I'm not delusional he should be playing it. He's not that good. He's the youngest kid on the team. It's tackle football. He's getting used to it. But it's a development league. You would think that they would...
but again, he is developing.
I don't want to sound like sour grapes, like a friggin' grouchy dad, but it's come on, dude. Work him in somewhere other than nose tackle. That isn't helping anyone.
But you just said it's... It's a development league. Again, by accident, they are helping him develop in those areas that he needs to develop. How about the other kids? I'm sorry, I got him confused. So how's the other kids doing?
Yeah, the older one, Jack, it's his first year. He's very small, and he's good. He's the one who gets on special teams occasionally. Dude, you know how it is, Teddy. I'm just proud of him that he keeps showing up, because it would be very easy for him to be like, Dad, this isn't for me. I'm smaller than everyone. I'm not doing great. But he said, no, I like being part of the team. I'm just going to keep trying to get better. And You know how it is
Good
as
attitude.
a parent. You like want them to be superstars, and when they're not, you want to protect them, and to see them at least stick it out and keep showing up. It's like, you know how we've talked about this before. Sometimes the races where you just get to the finish line make you more proud than the ones where you dominate and beat everyone, because it takes so much determination to stay in the game when you're getting your ass kicked pillar to post. And that's kind of what's happening to both of them, actually, and they're staying in. You know, last thing I'd want them to do is quit, and I've tried to subtly say, hey, you sure you want to keep doing this, just to see, and they're like, no, I would never quit. I'm not having a great experience, but I would never quit.
You know, I always say in my business, and I say it humbly, sometimes I don't know what to do. I've even said this in the gyms, and fighters are like shocked. They're like, Teddy, you don't know what to... I said, no.
That's a good point.
But I know what not to do.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's more important than knowing what to do. The what to do, we'll figure it out. But what not to do is the only thing that matters at that time, because that keeps you in it.
Yep.
And if you're in it, you're going to figure the rest. You got a shot. So
That's a great point.
I would... Now, let me move you to your training and preparation real fast on this race in Africa. How long, how far are you, is Tarzan going to be there too? I mean, are you swinging on trees? Are you, are you swimming oceans? Are you racing against gazelle?
It's a similar like the Mongolia race last year across the Gobi Desert. This one's called For Rangers. It's like raise awareness, I think, for the rangers that protect the rhinos. But
I'm joking. Let me say one thing for the fans out there. I'm joking. If you haven't noticed, I have a sense of humor. That's my Irish side. My mother used to say, "You'll do anything to get out of the house, won't you?"
I said to my wife.
Sam enjoyed that.
I said to my wife, should I do this? And she's like, same with Mongolia. She was like, what do you think? I said, I'm super nervous. I hate the camping part of it. And she's like,
you set it up beautifully, Ken. Yeah. You set it up magnificently there, kid. How many years you married?
17.
Oh, you're learning, huh? You
know what she said to me? She said the house is more everything organized. Everything moves smoother when you're not here. I know I have systems in place. When you're here, you disrupt the apple cart, and all the kids' systems get thrown off. But anyway, it's a 5-day.
Truth will set us free and send us to Africa. You know that, Sam? That's a new one. I just came up with that. Truth will set you free and send you on a race to Africa.
It's a 5-day race, 30 miles a day, self-supported, so you have to carry everything except the water and the tent.
How many miles a day?
30 miles.
How many total?
150 miles.
How many days?
5. But the important part is, or the difficult thing is, you have to carry all the food and supplies that you need, like sleeping bag, extra clothes if you have, food. And they set up a camp with communal tents, and they provide water. And then other than that, everything is self-supported. But it's through an active game preserve that the rangers are out there along the 30-mile course. So as you're running through like a zebra preserve, rhinos, giraffes, and all kinds of animals. So I've got some like cameras that clip onto my shirt that I'm going to try to capture some of the footage.
Wow,
and I've just been training now for 2 months.
Should be sensational experience. Try to stay out of the reserve for the Reliance. I mean,
exactly.
That's my tip. I can't help you a lot, but that would be my tip, Sam. Stay out of the lion reserve and the cheetah reserve, because as fast as you are, cheetahs are faster. A cheetah, for the people out there, I know a little bit about wildlife. They can run up to 70 miles an hour. Did you know that, Sam? 70 miles an hour, short periods, but still, 70 miles an hour is 70 miles an hour.
Exactly.
That's so that. Good luck with that, and then I will finish that with this piece of news. That next week, our show next week, Ken is dodging zebras and rhinos over in Africa, my son, Teddy the Third, will fill in for him and be the co-host on our show next week. And of course, he brings a backup besides boxing his whole life, being the son of who he is, and being around boxing since he's 2 years old. But he will also bring a part where he was a scout in the NFL for 15 years. Most of you know that listen regularly to this show, that he was scout in the NFL for all those years. So he will do some, I think, I hope it'll be fun for you guys, and maybe more than fun, maybe enlightening in some ways, where he'll give his picks, he'll break down the pro schedule coming up, the pros. Obviously, the timing is pretty good as far as being able to do the football, because next week or the week after starts the pro football, NFL, and then, of course, college football just started, but it really gets into gear next week or this coming week with I think, a full schedule of the college. So he will do some handicapping of who to look out for in the NFL, dark horses, favorites, all that stuff. And the same thing with the college side of it, who to look out to get to the college playoffs, and also teams that could be sleepers to look for, and a few things on players, to stand out, to look for. So we'll have fun. I mean, it's a father's real dream to be able to work with what he does, to have an opportunity to work it with his son. So for me, it'll be nice. Even though Ken will be missed, it'll be nice to be able to do a show with my son. I hope the people out there enjoy it. It makes me think of Mike Golick and his son Golick, where Mike Golick used to do the ESPN radio for years with Greenberg. And then when they no longer did it and Greenberg moved over to another show, Mike did it for a few more years with his son, which I thought was, I thought not only was it nice and a nice chemistry that you felt, and it was unique, but I just thought it was a nice gift for the father to be able, and for the son too, but for the father to be able to work with his son in that kind of way. So I'll be looking forward to next week, even though I'll be praying for Ken that he dodges all the wildlife out there and that he gets back in one piece. But I will be here with my son enjoying that experience.
I'm actually looking forward to it and think it could be to be honest, he should probably have a standalone NFL show. He's got so much knowledge on the sport and such a good personality. So I'll be looking forward to seeing that myself.
Yeah, so let's get to, thank you. Let's get to the boxing and peripheral stuff. There was a few peripheral things. There was some sideline stuff. There was some people wouldn't be as kind with the wording of it as I am, but there was some stuff that is, not exactly the conventional fighting. It's more the event stuff, show stuff, whatever you want to call it. But it did involve one of the great fighters of our time. But, we will get to all of that. You pick what you want to take us to first.
Yep, we're gonna skip the couple of barroom brawls that happened in New York City over the weekend. I think there were some street fights, but let's get to the next best thing. Floyd Mayweather fighting John Gotti Jr. On the undercard, though, there was a real fight. David Picasso scores unanimous decision over Azat Hovhannisyan for the WBC Super Bantamweight, silver title or something to that effect. But that was
he's the number one contender. That's the main thing.
Number one contender, exactly. Number one contender. How'd you like that fight? And what'd you think of Picasso?
It was a real fight. It was a good fight, to be honest. I like Picasso. I like him a lot. I wouldn't mind seeing him fight Inoue down the road because I think they're in the same weight class now. But he And
Oh, you
Inoue,
must
of
think
course,
very highly of him then if you think he should be in with Inoue. That guy's a wrecking ball.
he's 29-0, 16 knockouts. Unless that made him 30-0, but I don't know if that made him 30-0 or he was 29-0 going in, or he's 29-0 now. Maybe you can authenticate that for me and check that for me while I talk. But Picasso against a good veteran, a warhorse, Azat, Hovhannisyan and Hovhannisyan, and Hovhannisia's 21-5, 17 KOs. Again, the only real fight on the card. It was a good fight. It was a phone booth fight inside. Both guys going at it. Picasso is young. He's undefeated.
He's only 24 years old with 30 fights, 29-0-1.
Yeah, I thought he was 23.
16 knockouts. What did you want me to confirm on him?
His record is it 29-0 now or 30?
Yeah, no, 29-0-1 with one draw and 16 KOs. And Hovhannisyan, it was 21-3 coming in, now 21-4.
I thought it was 21-5. All right, and you know.
Oh, now 21-5 after the loss.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It was a real good, entertaining fight. Both guys engaged. The reason I don't say Picasso's ready, even with 29 fights, he hasn't been near the level of Inoue. There's not too many places you can go to fight the level of Inoue, but he hasn't been near that level. I'm not saying he's ready for that. I'm saying he is such a fighter. His style is so compelling. He gets after it. He's a warrior. Offensively, he's really good. I wouldn't mind seeing that. You know, he's naturally the bigger guy than Inoue. Not that that's going to help him, but I wouldn't mind seeing it because just what Picasso, I'm not saying Picasso wins, but just what he brings. And he's fun to watch. He's a guy that is vying to be one of the next Mexican superstars because of his style. His Mexican style, if you want to say that. He is really a fun, fan-friendly guy to watch. He puts punches together. I have one critique. He's got to learn. He's got great size, great height, great length. He's got to learn to use that sometimes. He just engages guys, which everyone loves. But to be productive, to have longevity, to be productive at the next level, the top level, with top guys, he's going to have to use those physical assets more, where he fights on the outside. You know, otherwise he might learn a lesson the hard way that Fonfara, who was tall and long, and he never learned how to fight on the outside. And to his credit, he made amends in the zoo fight, in a bloody fight. But Picasso has the ability, the physical ability, assets to fight on the outside. He's got to learn sometimes to use that if he's going to stay at the top and further himself in his profession. He's got to learn that. He's also got to learn to couple the uppercut. He throws a good uppercut to put something on top of it a little more often. He landed, I said that a couple weeks ago in a fight where the guy, I'm trying to remember what fight it was, but it might have been the heavyweight fight with the upset when Anderson in L.A. got knocked out. It might have been that fight where Anderson got knocked out and he kept getting hit with the uppercut, beautiful uppercut by the opponent. What was his name? Give me the opponent's name against.
Yeah, one sec. The
African
guy. Yeah, sorry. 1 second.
He fought a great fight. He looked like George Foreman.
Yeah, that was what a performance from that guy. He only had the one loss. Martin Bacoli with one loss against Michael Hunter Jr.
But Bacoli was landing uppercut all night, but wasn't putting anything on top. He finally knocked him out, knocked Anderson out. But Picasso was landing the uppercut, and for the most part, not putting something right, like he's landing the right uppercut, putting a short left hook behind it, get the job finished. But other than that, those two critiques, which are important critiques, I love the action. I love the heart of Azat Hovhannisyan, where he just, he's an old warhorse, and he kept fighting tooth and nail. It was the best way to describe in a really accurate way, with no hyperbole and all that stuff, just accurate. It was a great one-sided fight because Picasso, for the most part, his side was winning just about every round. Maybe you give one round the other way. But every round was hard-fought, hard-earned. And that made it a good fight to watch, even though you knew the younger guy was getting the better of it. So that's a guy I want to watch, Picasso. That's a guy that I'm going to keep an eye out for. And that brings us to somebody else, I guess, right, Ken?
Floyd Mayweather, John Gotti Jr. had a fight, in quotes, I guess, and a highlight of the fight was Floyd firing the ref in the second round. Take it away.
Yeah, I mean, look, first off, let me just get my notes together because I would hate to miss anything in this fight where it's an exhibition. All right, first off, let me say this. To me, Floyd is one of the great fighters of our time. And I really love him in that and admire him in that way. So I don't begrudge him at 47 years of age, making extra dough, still wanting to be relevant, still wanting to be active, not wanting to sit on the couch and get heavy like some of us do when we're not doing what we've done regularly at that level anymore. I'm not going to be the guy to begrudge him or criticize him in any way for having the opportunity and the right, because he earned it, to do whatever it is that he wants to do. I understand these shows are more about getting paid, the entertainment value. I can better handle these type things if at least it feels a little bit more legit as far, and I know it's not legit as far as the Gotti having a chance to win, but as far as the effort, like Jake Paul, hate him or love him. People say I defend him too much. Look, I'm not defending him, but Jake Paul, hate him or love him, when he's in there, there's risk. When he's in there, it's legitimate. Both sides are legitimate. I don't care if he's fighting an older UFC fighter or a bare knuckle guy or, a basketball player, whatever. And now he's been fighting, he did fight a fighter in Tommy Fury. He lost that one fight. It was competitive, but he lost. But the key for me with Jake Paul is that it's honest as far as the legitimate risk and effort, that they are both trying to hurt each other. They are both getting after each other. I didn't feel that at all. That, I know it's an exhibition, but exhibitions can be more than just a sparring session. Exhibition's supposed to mean that it doesn't go on your record, but the effort should still be or can be full out. that wasn't it. It had the feel of WWE, and you touched on it already, where, whether it was Rowdy Piper back in the day, or whether it was, you know what I mean, or whether it was Ric Flair, or whether it was The Undertaker. It had the look in the second round when Mayweather fired the ref for warning him for rapid punches, which I didn't think he rapid punched him, but he was throwing a looping punch around the glove. For warning him for rapid punching, and Mayweather, got indignant and started yelling and ranting and raving, "Get this guy out of here, get him out of here." And that had the feel for wrestling, where the manager's trying to go after the one of the guys, or the guy's trying to go after, like I said, Hulk Hogan or something, and try to get at him. And there's somebody holding him, the referee's holding him back. That had the feel of put on. That had the feel of orchestration. That had the feel of make believe. And that for me, that's the part that bothered me. Maybe that's supposed to be part of it, to the entertainment of this. But for me, that was the part that bothered me maybe the most. And also, the part I alluded to before with Jake Paul. He has really invested time into learning the sport. And he's developing. He's a work in progress. He's gotten better. Where, it would be no contest with him and John Gotti, by the way. No contest at all right now. And I'm not taking away from Gotti, but Paul is much more developed. And Gotti was 20 pounds heavier than Mayweather, which doesn't matter. Doesn't matter because of the experience and who Mayweather is. It don't matter. He could have been 40 pounds heavier, 50 pounds heavier. It wouldn't have mattered because he wasn't going to hit him anyway. But the effort to see John Gotti in there complaining to the ref whenever he got hit, it's like somebody didn't explain to him that, hey, this is kind of the deal, Ken, that you actually get hit. That actually this is part of the deal. That the guy can hit you back, And he was looking at the ref. He was complaining to the ref every time he got hit with something, and then you've seen, and I don't love it, but you've seen where even good fighters, where they touch gloves in between rounds, and I don't love it because you could do that afterwards. It's like you're trying to make friends. You're trying to make a deal. But I've never seen a guy, which Gotti did do, hugging a guy in between rounds, putting his arms around his neck and giving him an embrace, in between rounds while the fight's still. That I never saw. That takes it to another point of making it feel like, we got a deal here. Let's keep to the deal, and keep it friendly. It's supposed to at least feel like it's not friendly if you're going to pay a ticket. And at least the guy's going to give an effort. His 20 pounds heavier, his being 20 years younger, whatever he was, 17 years younger, whatever it is, that maybe somehow, even though it's not, maybe somehow that's going to play into seeing something that we didn't expect to see. Whatever it is, but let's see some legitimate effort, or making it look like there's that kind of legitimate effort going in. That was dismissed. That was taken away by the things that I just mentioned. And Mayweather was, you could see he was playing with him. You could see that he was holding back. He was carrying him a little bit, holding back on punches. He let some hard body punches go. I'll give it to him. Floyd did. He let some hard punches go. He never really caught him real clean with a good headshot, really clean. But he did land some good hard body shots. But you could see, again, that, he was carrying him. And I guess not everybody bought into it because there was a hell of a lot. It was a big stadium. It's an iconic stadium in Mexico City. And there was a hell of a lot of empty seats. I mean, the director did the best he could. And the cameraman showing you ringside that was filled up. I'm sure that no matter what ticket you bought, they moved you down to ringside. But the rest of the seats, up above, they hid them because they were empty. So
I wonder how much. I wonder what Floyd's making on a fight like this. Like, is it worth it? Like, is it 10 million? Is it 1 million? Like, I'm genuinely curious to know.
I think it used to be more. When he started doing this, I think it was more than it is now. But look, whatever it is, it's free money. I don't begrudge it. He earned the right. And not only that, I don't know if it's all about the money. I think part of it is what I touched on earlier. You know, part of what people do is they'd say, I do it for the juice. You know, I think part of it might be for the juice, where 100%. Floyd still needs that juice, where he's still out there, he's still performing. He takes good care of his body. He takes pride in taking care of his body. You know, his body looked different. I mean, he's 47. It happens to everyone. His body looked different. It's not the body that he had when he was 27. But he still keeps himself in good shape. This is his way of staying active. This is his way of staying, in his mind, relevant in the sport he wants to be, not sitting on the couch, not just, watching the days go by. He's not, sometimes the worst thing you could do is retire, because then you're wondering a month after you retire, what am I going to do today? So this keeps him relevant and keeps him active mentally, physically. I think that's part of why he does it. Again, my complaints were on the side that I made them, that, and maybe that's my fault. Maybe fans will say, shame on you to expect more. I'm not saying I expected more or less. I didn't know exactly what to expect, but I was thrown off by seeing what I felt was the WWE, part of it, influence of it, that I thought, the referee, they changed refs. There's all you need to know. Ken, they changed refs in the second round when Floyd, started yelling that he wants the guy out of there. And within seconds, a replacement ref comes right in. What's it, like baseball where you got a guy in the bullpen? I mean, where did that ref, if I'm the commentator, because you got to add some legitimacy to it. If I'm the commentator, I got to say, maybe that's why I would never be the commentator, but I would have to say, hey, isn't it handy that this guy was right there ready to go? I mean, is it common practice to have a ref on standby? Like literally like a pitcher in the bullpen where, you bring him right in. They just, boom, we want a new ref. How about I want Chinese food too? Get that too. Get that too while you're at it, right? Why not? So the referee got called. He got right in. It almost didn't miss a beat. The referee came right in. There were 2-minute rounds, by the way, and some of them were probably a minute rounds, Ken, because while the referee and all the haggling was going on, they didn't stop the clock. So the clock kept ticking, and probably a minute and a half, whatever, ticked off the clock, and then the bell rang. So I'm not saying that fans should have been asking for their money back, because, buyer beware. If you're going to buy into something like this, you have to be aware that, you're not watching Mayweather, against a live real fighter in that way. You're not turning the clock back where you're getting to watch, Mayweather and whoever, Corrales, Gotti, Canelo, that's going way back. But whatever, Castillo. That was the one fight. He fought him twice. That was the one fight that some people thought that Mayweather may have lost that fight. It was a close fight. And then, of course, Mayweather dominated, which great fighters do. Sugar Ray Robinson, when only a few people beat him. But when you beat him, you could put your mortgage on it. You could put your house on it that you weren't beating him in a rematch. And that's part of greatness. That you learn what you had to learn from the loss, and you correct it immediately. So, and Mayweather, of course, did that in that fight. So, anyway, some people will be I don't know. I don't know if there's anyone out there be glad I covered this. I don't know. But I thought I was supposed to. I thought it was my duty. Can I throw one in there before we move on that I just realized?
Of course.
Full disclosure, I didn't watch it. And I'll tell you why I didn't watch it. I know he's a prospect, a real prospect. He's a Mayweather prospect. And Mayweather's got good prospects. I mean, don't forget, Mayweather's the guy who discovered Tank Davis and helped develop him, helped cultivate him. Don't forget that. So Mayweather really has a good eye, and he does bring up good prospects. And he's got an 18-year-old kid that was on the undercard, and I didn't bother to watch. I know he's a talent, but I have trouble watching these kids that I know are basically, it's like watching feeding time at the zoo. You know what I mean? Where the lions are going to be fed, right? I don't want to watch that, because at this point he's 5-0, 4 knockouts. His name is Curmel Tremaine.
That kid's real good.
Yeah, and listen, talented as hell. 18 years old. Future world champ.
Looks even younger than 18.
But I tell you, Ken, I didn't watch it. I had a lot of stuff that I had to deal with, so I was going back and forth with the UFC. I couldn't sit there and watch it, although I only probably needed 55 seconds if I did. But because I knew that it was going to be a 55-second or 40-second job. Because, again, I know at this stage what they're giving him. They're giving him raw meat. So I don't need to watch that, because that's not going to tell me anything. I already know he's talented. I already know that he's going to dominate those kind of guys. So I already know that he fought 10 times better guys than the amateurs. So I don't need to watch that. But I do want to mention, because he's a Mayweather protege, and Mayweather, again, I think he has earned my respect, Mayweather, where when he's got a protege, I usually want to watch. I want to mark him down, because he gets legitimate proteges or legitimate prospects that he develops. So 55-second knockout in the first round over Victor Vasquez, who was 5-3-1. So I just wanted to mention that and take us forward, because after the exhibition with Gotti, we could only move forward, I think, right? Yep. Forward would be the direction. I think there's no going real backwards from there. Is there, Ken? No.
Nope.
I think
UFC Ultimate Fighter finalists, Mairon Santos and Kaan Ofli. Really good fight early, but my God, what a spectacular knockout by the young Mairon Santos out of the Eric Nixick camp at Extreme Couture. Nice to see Eric get another win, but my God, what a freaking knockout. How'd you like that one?
I asked Rob to put it up, so if you didn't see it, you get to see it. It was very similar to a sensational knockout in boxing, I think it was, a few weeks ago that we highlighted. I can't remember exactly what fight it was. I think it was a champion got knocked out, and I think he got hurt, and hope to God he's okay now. I think he is okay now. It was that kind of knockout, sensational bang by Santos with the left hook. It reminds you of that saying, why certain sayings are there. Don't hook with a hooker. And again, how many times have I drummed this home, Ken, that, it comes down often. It's not just the power. It's the delivery, and it's also the flawed technique that somebody has. The lack of attention to fundamentals. And that's what really got Ofli. Yeah, it was the left hook that catches your eyeballs. But it landed because of a failure in basic technique for me, where they're both throwing left hooks, and Ofli's is wider. Santos is shorter. The shorter one's going to get there first. The shorter one got there first. And when you throw a left hook, I teach it all the time in the gym, you have to keep your right hand up. For that reason, in case a guy hooks with you. You have to keep your right. Well, that habit was not there. It was not drilled into the mindset of Ofli. He dropped his right hand. Santos actually kept his right hand up. He drew the shorter left hook. Ofli never saw the short, compact, beautiful left hook by Santos that landed square on his chin because his right hand was down. And that was it. It was over. Just, again, to the young, aspiring, up-and-coming fighters out there, MMA, boxing, whatever, kickboxing, whatever you're in, develop fundamentals. The developing fundamentals isn't always fun, but it will keep you from being unhappy. It will allow you to have fun later. It will pay for you and pave the road down forward to be successful. Good habits will do that. You have to develop them. Bad habits will come to haunt you in the same way, the opposite way, that good habits will help you. So that's my little bit of teaching for the day to the young aspiring fighters out there, or even if you're just even if you're just a guy that's a weekend warrior, but you want to be good, you want to be the best version of that. When you're hitting the bag, when you're with your coach in the gym, doing your boxing workout, do it. Learn the fundamentals. I say it, but I'm still doing it, right? But I hate to be this gratuitous, right? But if you need help to learn them, I do have some teaching videos out there with dynamic striking. And again, excuse me for being that forward to promote something of myself, but they are good. They are good. You will learn something. You will learn fundamentals. So, anyway, that's for that. What was next?
In the main event, Caio Borralho gets a breakthrough win against Jared Cannonier, moves to 17-1, hasn't lost a fight in 9 years. 2015, second fight ever. He lost a unanimous decision in somewhere other than the UFC. But been on quite a tear since getting into the UFC, undefeated. Like I said, big win against Jared Cannonier, a top 5 contender. So this should put Caio Borralho somewhere high up in the rankings. How'd you like that one?
Borralho is a beast, but Cannonier is too. Cannonier is 40 years old. He was given up 9 years. He's 17-8, I believe.
That's right.
And Borralho's 17-1. And he's a southpaw. Great fight. I'm so glad I watched it. I hope you watched it, UFC fans, because I watched it for you. But really, in the end, I watched it for myself, because you usually don't get disappointed watching UFC. I didn't get disappointed. It was a great fight. All striking, for the most part. All striking. And Borralho, he wins the first round. Cannonier comes back. He wins the second. Incredible comeback in the second round to win it. If I remember correctly, he hurts Borralho. Borralho had hurt Cannonier. I don't know if it was in the third or the first round, but he hurt him with a straight left hand behind the jab. The same punch that he ultimately would drop him and close the show with in the fifth round. So he remembered that punch worked for him, which great fighters do, good fighters do. They remember what works. It goes in the computer. It gets stored away. First round again, Borralho. Second round, Cannonier. Third round, Borralho. Fourth round, very close. And the fifth round, Borralho connects with the left hand power shot from the southpaw position, set up beautifully by the jab. And as I just alluded to, the same punch in combination that he caught Cannonier with early in the fight, and he drops him. Here's the thing. When you're watching greatness, in whatever it is, whatever area of greatness. It doesn't have to be the area of throwing punches or slipping punches or running for touchdowns. It could be in the area of perseverance. It could be in the area of toughness, of resiliency, of just finding a way. The area of competitiveness. I was watching greatness when I watched 40-year-old Cannonier go to the floor, go to the canvas with an incredible power shot from a good puncher, clean left hand. He never saw it, set up by the jab. He reminded me a little bit, Ken, of Arturo Gatti and his ability to recover, to recuperate fast from being hurt. I mean, severely hurt. Amazing how Cannonier survived when, I'm going to tell you, he was out. But he put the lights right back on. Some special people can do this. He refused to go dark. Just refused. He refused to go dark. Incredible heart, fortitude, awareness, control over his faculties. Just the ability to really be, I'm going to go real deep, to be knocked out and say, no, I'm not knocked out. To be on the verge of being gone and say, no, I decide when I'm gone, not you. Me! I'm not gone. And I talked about this in all the motivational speech I do in the NFL and with UConn, the national basketball champion, when Hurley brought me up there before they won their first title a couple years ago. I talk about this under pressure in whatever your workplace is, whatever you feel, whatever your fight is, whatever it is out there, all of you I'm talking to. It's your choice. It's not the other guy's choice. It's your choice. What happens, how you behave, what you do. It's your choice. And that was on display, never more beautifully, never more significantly, never more just illustrative, like a picture. It couldn't be clearer if you know what the hell you're watching, to see that he did what I just talked about. He's the proof of what I talk about. He just said, no, I'm not out. No, it's my choice. I refuse to be out. And he almost miraculously, but it's not miraculously. It's his doing. It's very human. We have capacities and abilities that God has given us that we're not even aware of until we're in a position where we have to become aware of them. We're not even aware of them. That's what I talk about, where you find out about yourself, where you open up a new room in your house, a new door that was never opened up before in your house being you. You. This is what I saw Cannonier do. He opened another door. He's been in that room before, maybe. I don't know. But he went there again. He knew he could go there. And he went there. And he survived. He survived not only the punch, but what the onslaught came behind that punch. And then the choke. I mean, you know, it's kind of like a guy. It wasn't enough that the guy, you know, you see a movie, one of these movies that get a little graphic. Guy beats him with a baseball bat, then he stamps him, then he shoots him, then he, you know, like he just, and I mean, it's like, what's next? What's next? And whatever it was, Cannonier was not allowing it. And he's still there. And he survived that. I just want to, if Cannonier, I know the UFC listens to this show. If you're listening, I salute you. I give you all my respect. Because you explained in one happening of what I've talked about for years. And what I preach. And what I try to teach. And put out there. You illustrated it in that fifth round. again, I just take my hat off to you. I have nothing but respect for you. And you did it at 40 years of age. You are spectacular, my friend. You are magnificent. Borralho, you're a star waiting to be anointed a star. You are a beast. Like the Tony Montana movie Scarface, when the plane was flying above, the world is yours and everything in it. You're like close to that place. If you continue on that path, I think, although you got some monsters that are in your path, you do have some monsters in that division. But then again, the UFC should be called Monsters Inc., right? Because you have nothing but monsters over in that joint, right? You got nothing but monsters in that joint. But I enjoyed it. Thank you. What did that movie, The Floyds, the Broadway famous family, legendary family, the Floyds, on all Broadway stars? What was the one Floyd that used to say at the end of a performance? I thank you. My brothers thank you. My sisters thank you. My mother thanks you. My father thanks you. We all thank you. But tremendous.
Roger Dale Floyd.
Yeah, was that him? Ken, you're the man. Was that him? I don't know. But it was it was a broad. It was the Floyd. They were Broadway stars. They were, I think it was vaudeville, but they were brought up by their mother and father. They basically were born on stage. I mean, their whole life was on stage since they were babies. Kind of like the fighters that are great fighters, like a Lomachenko and all these great fighters that their fathers started them at a very young age. Lomachenko, I think, started when he was 4. But Floyd Mayweather started very young. All these great fighters, a lot of them start very young. I think it was the Floyd family?
I think so. That's what it says. Roger Dale Floyd. But did you want to? I know there's a few fight next week you wanted to touch on. You want to start with the Diego Pacheco against David Sulecki. That one's next Saturday, and then we've got also Naoya Inoue and TJ Doheny this Tuesday coming from Tokyo. Whichever one you want to talk about first. Both should be good.
Yeah, definitely. We'll start with Inoue, the great Inoue. It's next week. It's Tuesday morning. Like, I think the show starts 2:30 in the morning from Japan. By the time the main event goes on, maybe it'll be 5:30. For those early risers, or that want to get up,
night owls,
and want to have a little boxing with your orange juice and eggs. Scrambled eggs, I guess, with in the morning. But Inoue, 27-0, 31 years old. He's special. I mean, for me, him, Crawford, Usyk, Bivol, Tank, Beterbiev, for me, they're at the peak of the boxing mountain. I mean, they're Mount Everest, where the air is really thin. But as I always used to say to my son, he showed there's no Superman in anything. And in boxing, the same thing. As, he was dropped in his last fight before getting, the knockout victory over Neary. And the same thing with Crawford. As great as he is, stepped up a couple weeks ago to 154 pounds to capture the, yet another title in another weight class. He showed there's always the chance someone might have kryptonite. Although Crawford still, he still won the title, beating a bigger, very solid fighter that people didn't give enough credit to how solid the guy was. 300 amateur fights, only 10 pro fights. But Crawford, there's no disputing his greatness, no disputing the greatness of Inoue, but there are no Supermen. I'm curious, for me, if Inoue, he's fighting TJ Doheny, who's 26-4, 37 years old. It's for Inoue's junior featherweight title.
All the titles.
Yeah, I'm sorry. He's undisputed. Yes, he's undisputed. All of them. I'm just curious. For me, the curiosity to get me up early in the morning is Doheny, who's lost 4 fights, never been stopped. My curiosity is, can Inoue stop him? Can he? Of course, can he win too? I'm going to say, yeah, he can win. But can he also win and do what no one's done in his 30 fights? Doheny is experienced. He's tough. He can punch a bit. He's got some power. He's been on the floor, though. For me, anyone who's been on the floor, if Inoue can get you on the floor, he's getting rid of you because he's a great finisher. That's one of his qualities amongst the long list of other ones. So that is that's my incentive to get up that early in the morning, Ken. To watch that. Inoue to close, he's great at, he's great at everything. He goes to the head or body with power. He's moved up a bunch of weight classes, carried his power. He has power. He has great vision to see where the best place is for that power. Anytime I get a chance to watch one of the greats, I'm in. And I'm in here, Well,
here, I got a line. I got a line for you on the fight. The money line is Naoya Inoue minus 7,700. Doheny, you can get back plus 1125. Over under 4.5 rounds, minus 111 to go over, minus 125 to go under 4.5 rounds. And if you like Naoya Inoue by knockout, you'll have to lay 1,800 by decision plus 640. So it looks like the odds makers like Naoya Inoue to blast him out of there early. At least that's what the betting line suggests.
Yeah, I don't think.
And that's from our friends at MyBookie. Shout out to mybookie.ag. Go to MyBookie, use the promo code ATLAS for 50% credit on your first deposit, should you be so inclined to place a wager on any of the fights or any of the football games coming up.
Ken, I don't think I'm gonna lay 7,700. I think I'll stay away.
I don't think you should.
I'll stay away from laying 7,700 to win $1.50. I'll stay away from that. I'd probably figure out something, maybe even as slow as I am cerebrally sometimes. I think I could probably come up with a better proposition to make money, like backing my grandchildren's lemonade stand. So I'll probably come up with some other way to go about it.
Even to take Inoue by knockout, you're laying $1,800. I think, to make a bet worthwhile, $100 doesn't really excite a lot of people. $18,000 to make $1,000 is
I'm
insanity.
not going that way because you never know.
Mm-hmm.
But I would play around with an under-over bet.
Yeah. 4.5 rounds, basically even money for all intents and purposes. Over under 4.5 rounds.
Yeah. I'm going to say it's a tough one. But I'm going to say because of the, the weight class, Inoue's at his highest weight class so far. Doheny's been there at that weight class. Yes, he's 37 years old, Doheny.
37, but he's never been knocked out in his 4 losses. 26-4 with 20 knockouts, so he can definitely
got
punch
power.
a little at that weight. He can crack
all
a
the
little
things
bit.
I said. He's got some pop, but look, he has been on the floor. That's the thing.
Yep.
And if he's on the floor, this guy's gonna get rid of him. But I'm gonna say Doheny's got enough constitution, enough heart, enough pride, enough experience to last 4.5 rounds. I think he's going to get stopped, but I think he's got enough experience to last 4.5. I wouldn't bet the house on it, but if you wanted to play around and you had a few extra bucks, to play around with, I might go with the over. But with you never know. With Inoue can be a little bit of a slow starter where he needs to, warm the engine up in the driveway before he takes it on the road. So, and once he takes it on the road, he runs you over. But so I might do a little play, Ken. And now the next one that I want to do a little bit of
before we talk about that one, let me say the fight's coming to us from Tokyo, and hopefully Doheny knows enough to make sure he comes prepared anytime you have to travel overseas with Athletic Greens. Go to athleticgreens.com/Atlas to take advantage of a special offer for our listeners. 10 free travel packs with your first purchase. And as we said earlier, Teddy, I will be running across Africa for 5 days, and I have to carry everything I need. And one of the absolute essentials, this is not hyperbole, it's not sales stuff. Like I'll be carrying 5 packets of Athletic Greens to make sure at the very least I'm getting my essential vitamins, minerals, and nutrients. Athletic Greens is the all-in-one green drink. Comes in a green powder. You mix a scoop of this or a packet if you have in the travel packs with 8 to 10 ounces of water in the morning. And if nothing else, you can assure that you're getting all the daily requirements of vitamins, minerals, nutrients, probiotics, prebiotics. Athletic Greens has 75 whole food source ingredients. Again, go to athleticgreens.com/Atlas to get your 10 free travel packs with your first purchase. Athletic Greens, the essential one supplement you can't live without, or I can't live without.
Ken, let me ask you a question. No, I want to piggyback off of that. Before I go into the breakdown of the other fight this weekend, how much stuff do you carry? I think people would be interested to know that. Do you carry in your, in your knapsacks or whatever that you're carrying? How heavy?
So there's a certain amount of mandatory safety equipment you have to have, like a whistle, a knife, like, a blanket, a compass, a few like essentials should you get lost, which would be hard. But nevertheless, everyone has to carry a certain amount of safety equipment, plus a sleeping bag, a little bit of clothes to wear in the camp after you've been racing all day. I usually take the clothes off, rinse them out with water, hopefully allow them to dry overnight, and then you go again. So with all the food and the mandatory equipment, the backpack is roughly 20 pounds, which on the surface, 20 pounds. But I promise you put on 20 pounds on your back and run 5 miles. It's hard. Now run 30 miles 5 days in a row. Not to make myself sound like I'm doing something special, but it's heavy. It's very heavy. And after a few days, you really start to feel it. So if you don't know enough to be training with this backpack for months in advance, and you get there thinking, no big deal, I'll just get the backpack and start running, it's a world of difference. The amount of effort that backpack takes versus running without it is astronomical. The same amount of effort, like for reference, if I go out and run 10 miles, let's say at the normal pace is around 7 minutes to 7:30 per mile. When I add the backpack with the same amount of effort and the same perceived effort, I'm running about a minute to a minute and a half slower with the same amount of effort. So, you could do the math to run fast. And in a race, you're trying to go as fast as you can. That backpack adds a tremendous amount of effort and raises your heart rate a lot.
For the fans out there, I could visualize, like in a movie, where a plane's going over the ocean, and all of a sudden a pilot tells him, you gotta get rid of stuff on a plane. We have to lighten our load. We have to lighten it. So they start throwing out the plane everything that's unnecessary. Seats, right? All kinds, pillows, cushions, everything. They start throwing it out the plane. I could see Ken throwing everything out except the athletic greens. I could, and he's got where everyone else has all the stuff, the stuff to cook with the food, all the things that he just talked about, the blankets, this and that. I could see him having 20 pounds of AG. Nothing else.
I'll tell you one other thing.
And you know what, Sam? You could make a pillow out of AG. You could make when it's time for him to sleep at night. You got enough AG. Besides, you drink it, you ingest it. You could make a pillow out of it. And if you have really enough, you could maybe make a blanket out of it. You cover yourself if it gets a little chilly. AG, 20 pounds.
One of the really difficult parts of it is if you can imagine, 30 miles with this backpack on your shoulders and neck and around my waist where it attaches. The chafing and the bleeding is it's inevitable. And eventually I try to put tape over the places where it chafes. But that's a part that I don't think you can't appreciate without experience. And I see people when they get there, in the aid station every night trying to get taped up, myself included. But there's so many things that you learn doing this one time. So I'm a little more prepared and know how to tape myself up in advance. But my God, this thing will wear you raw if you're not perfectly prepared and have everything dialed.
One last question for me, for the fans. How you have to log 30 miles a day, correct?
Yep.
How many miles in one sitting, so to speak, in one run? How many miles do you do without a rest?
The whole thing. So there'll be an
like
aid station.
If you got to do 30 miles that day, are you running 30 consecutive miles? I mean, that's more than a marathon.
That's a good question.
Or are you running 5 and then rest a little, then 10, whatever?
Definitely never resting, but there'll be because you have to carry everything. They provide water every 5 to 10 miles. You can fill up your hydration thing. There's a bag that's in the backpack with a long straw that comes over the shoulder. So every 1 to 1 hour, 1.5 hours, you can stop and fill it. But when you get into that, at least when I get into that aid station, it's frantic to fill it and keep going. So you're basically running the whole time. Occasionally in these trail/adventure races, if you get into a very technical uphill or technical downhill, you're basically speed hiking, but never at any point would you stop and sit down. It's constantly moving forward. And, like I said, sometimes if you're really on the 50-mile stage in Mongolia, I would walk for a minute, run for 5, walk a minute just to keep my heart rate down, because that was in the Gobi Desert. It was extremely hot. But for all intents and purposes, you're running the whole time and just trying to manage the efforts.
Kind of like in a Grand Prix or in a race where you go into the pit stop, but you got to change those tires fast.
That's exactly right. And you'll get different levels. There'll be 5 or 10 guys in the race that want to die to win. And then there'll be people who are just trying to complete and finish it, and it's an adventure for them, and they'll sit down and have a snack and, do their thing, and that's fine and noble too. But, I want to win. And, I'm sure there'll be a handful of guys that are in that same boat.
All right, let's go to we have one other fight to highlight, preview for the fans out there that'll be on Saturday night. What is
David
it on?
Pacheco,
is
David
it on the Zone?
Sulecki.
What is it on? The Zone or
Give me 1 second.
Is it on ESPN? It's got to be one or the other, I assume.
That's gonna be 1 second. That is going to be. That's going to be on the Zone from Carson, California. David Pacheco against Maciej Sulecki. I think that's how you pronounce his first name.
Yeah, it is.
Maciej. Yeah.
Not that I'm an expert on pronunciation. So.
Yep, Carson, California. Is that where you went to the recent Riyadh season fight, the Crawford fight, Carson, California?
No, that was L.A.
That was Anaheim, right?
Los Angeles, right downtown L.A., but not Anaheim, but downtown L.A. But I've been in Carson City because when we were doing ESPN Friday Night Fights for 18 straight years, we went everywhere. And we used to do a lot of shows at the casino out there in Carson City. So,
hold on. I don't think Carson is right outside of LA. Let me see. I think Carson City is more like up near Reno.
We used to do them up there.
Yeah, Carson City, Nevada. That's way
right.
The hell up there. That's like
up. That's right.
That's up near Reno, up in the Sierra Nevadas, and Carson.
I didn't listen to you close. Outside. You said Carson, no not Carson. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Carson is, I think, where the soccer team plays in L.A. I forget what it's called, the boxing arena there, but I'll look it up.
Pacheco, Sulecki. Pacheco is potentially one of the next superstars. He's trained by a top guy. If you're trying to be a top guy, you should have a top trainer. He's got David Benavidez' father. Again, he could be the next star. He's got the looks of it. He's very young. I think he's like 20. Do you got his age there? 21 or? I know he's very young. He's fighting Sulecki. It's a step up for him. Pacheco's 21-0. Sulecki is 32-2. It's a 12-round
David Pacheco's only 23 years old, 21 and 17 knockouts. Yep.
For me, this represents a step up in competition for Pacheco. He's fighting a guy with 2 losses. His only 2 losses, Sulecki. And look, granted, the 2 times he really stepped up in competition represent the 2 times Sulecki lost when he stepped up and came up short in competition. But he lost 2 decisions in his career with 32 wins. His 2 losses were to Demetrius Andrade, who was a world champion, and Danny Jacob, who, of course, was a world champion too. So he lost to 2 top fighters. Pacheco's tall. He's long. He's got a great body. He's got that wiry body like most wiry guys. I've always talked about this. Like Alexis Arguello, Carlos Zarate, for all those historian fight fans that follow boxing really close, that have a memory of these great fighters, like Bob Foster, Arguello, Zarate. He's got that body where they get leverage, they get torque, they get power with being tall and long. And more importantly, he knows how to use those assets to control he's very disciplined and well taught using his physical advantages. He knows how to stay on the outside, control range, be tall, make you pay a price to get to him, catch you before you can get to him, keep you in the area that's bad for you and good for him. He knows how to do that. He does it basically. Jab, uses jab to set up his power shots. He sets the table with the jab. He eats with the right hand, with the other punches. He can use an uppercut well. What stands out to me is his body, his size, his power, his discipline, his understanding what his identity is. It's important for a young fighter to know what his identity, to know what he is. He knows what he is. He's a tall guy that needs to use that advantage as much as he can. Again, unlike Fontoura, who had all those assets, never used them, and finally paid the ultimate price for fighting inside, not being tall on the outside, and he got knocked out. But I think it was to Mendoza. But again, to his credit, Fontoura redeemed himself. Came back in a bloody fight where the blood definitely had something to do with the fight, but it doesn't matter. He came back, won a world title against a real solid fighter in Zoo. Pacheco, if he wants to avoid that pitfall, that hole in the road, he will continue to fight tall and know how to fight tall and make it very difficult for the shorter fighters to get to him without paying a severe price. I like Pacheco. His potential is unlimited because he has these assets, because he has David Benitez's father as a trainer. Sulecki, as I said, step up. He's a guy that if he can take him to the deeper waters, it'll be interesting. Because Sulecki has been in those deeper waters with good fighters. He's gone a distance with them. So that's the only thing. If he can get to without getting damaged too much. The problem for Sulecki, the good news is he's experienced. He is a step up. The bad news is he might be made for order, style-wise, for a guy like Pacheco because he does want to be aggressive in a smart way, a controlled way, but he does like to come in that front door. Anyone who comes in that front door so far with Pacheco is kind of like wanting to go into the Everglades without a boat. There's alligators in the Everglades, if you haven't been told, Ken. And alligators bite. You know, they do. They bite. And so that's one of the things you learn on this with me. Don't go into the Everglades without a boat because, you know, you might get bitten. But if you can have a boat to get through those early rounds, those early waters, so to speak, and get to the deep sea. There's not a lot of alligators in the deep sea. Most of them are in the shallows. If he can do that, then it could be interesting where we get to see what I always want to see. You always want to see. A prospect tested to see if he's got on the inside what it appears he has on the outside. In other words, to see that beautiful shiny car in the lot, open the hood and see what's underneath. I always want to see that. I always think that that's one of the most intriguing things about this sport, is that you get to sometimes peek at what's inside a guy. So that is do we have anything on that with my bookie? With any, prospects of placing bets for the fans out there if they want to be responsible about it and bet with your head, not over it. But
yeah, of course, we always promote responsible betting. Let me see if we got a line on the on that Pacheco fight. Bear with me 1 second. Diego Pacheco, a prohibitive minus $1,800 to a plus 720 on Sulecki, and no prop lines on that bet. On that fight.
Not even to go the distance?
Nothing. Just the straight money line. I'm sure as we get closer is what normally happens. My bookie provides a ton of lines and they'll update them as we go. But as of today, we only have the minus 1,800 to plus 720.
If I was to take a wager, I would look, of course I'm not laying that money. I could take the dog for a little money with that kind of line. I guess so, but I'm not gonna because I do believe in the talent of Pacheco and the trainer that he has. So, although Sulecki is the best guy he's fought so far, so if you want to put a little play on a wild outside shot that this more experienced guy could in some way expose Pacheco in a way we haven't seen him exposed yet, I could see putting a little peanut. But yeah. I'm of course picking Pacheco to win. For me, if there was a prop, I'd go for the over because one of the strengths of Pacheco, I touched on it, is he's very controlled, very disciplined, and he's very accurate. But being controlled and disciplined, he doesn't go outside himself. He doesn't take a lot of risks. He doesn't go overboard. And in that way, he fights such a controlled fight where I can see an experienced guy like Sulecki getting rounds in. So for that reason, I would go that it's going to go some, it's going to go some length. But at the end of the day, I'll be curious. And I'll be reporting on it next week with my son. Exactly, what transpired with Pacheco, and if this turned out to be a real test, and if Pacheco kind of made my list of future superstars or guys that are vying to be a superstar. Did he stay on that list? Because right now he's on the list of potentially being one of those guys, but he wants to become one of those guys. Does he stay on the list? I'll be handicapping that next week with Teddy the Third.
Yeah, and to your point, guys, please tune in next week to hear about this fight, but as well as an NFL and college football preview. I'll be looking forward to seeing this one myself. I'll be trying to post some updates from my race via Instagram if I can get a cell reception out in the bush, if anyone cares to follow along on the race in Africa. But other than that, Teddy, I don't have anything else.
One question. Does my bookie have a line? Sam wants to know this too, because we got a few dollars to possibly put on it. Do they have a line on you or the Lions winning?
Minus 1,200 on me, plus 800 on the field.
See, they're betting on Ken to outrun all the opposition. All the opposition. Listen, God bless. Good luck. Best to your family. Good luck in your race. And I'll look forward to seeing you when you get back.
Thank you, and have a great week, everyone. Like I said, tune in next week for a special appearance. NFL expert Teddy Jr. will be on breaking it all down with his pops. I'm looking forward to this. Have a great week, everyone. Teddy, thanks for doing this, and I'll see you in 2 weeks from today. Boom.